What's up, everyone? So I'll be doing a tier list, both PVE and PvP. Uh, on my level, currently I'm level 96 and our server level cap is level 97. So this applies from my level and below. So I'll be doing a tier list from level 1 up to level 96. All right. So first is disclaimer. This is based on my personal opinion or perspective based on what I've observed and experienced. So let's get right into it. So for PvE first, so stay tuned since we will be starting off with PvE and later on for PvP classes. So for PvE, and I think this is for early game, for level 1 up to maybe 85 or yes, 85 I think. Level 1 to 85. Uh, Number one is S tier is Summoner class because at the early stages of the game, uh, the cat or the Arama tanks pretty much of the damage of the mobs or even the bosses, and the damage is pretty solid as well. So it is a perfect PVE class. It has the skill set of sustain damage and tank that will protect you from uh, not clearing many PVE content. So that is for level 1 to 85, and that's an S tier. So on top of that, uh, based on my observation, this is specially for soloing bosses. It is very, very good PVE. It is the Ranger. Some may disagree, but Ranger has very high sustainability and also good damage. And just like Summoner, Summoner's healing tune, it heals the Arama, so it would live longer, and that will give you consistent DPS. And also for Ranger, uh, it will give you consistent DPS as well from the fairy arrows and the buff, and also you have the heal. And also take note that fairy arrow has a shield that adds more sustainability. So for me, that's for the S tier from level 1 to 85. Then next is that's for S tier, and now we're moving on to A tier. So A tier, well, I'll start off from putting Asura here because Asura has a good consistent build up damage because of the descending Asura skill that gives 30% ignore defense, that deals 30% ignore defense, and uh, you hit faster and you gain only combo points and not using mana at all. And that combo points build up pretty well because you attack fast and you have a lot of skills with uh, low cooldowns. So Asura is good at level 1 to 85 for clearing a lot of contents efficiently. So you can do it fast paced. And it has also sustainability from lifesteal because of the Shadow Strike. And that Shadow Strike heals you for about, I think, 10% or some percentage. And the more you have attack, the more you deal damage, uh, the more you regain health as well because you will be gaining some lifesteal stats throughout the game. So yeah, that's it for the Asura. It's a pretty good, solid PvE class. And next is I will put it as well on A tier is the Frostweaver. So from levels 1 to 85, a lot of mobs are basically just monsters, and you will not be facing that much of a boss, and mostly the bosses that you are facing is kinda kinda easy to clear solo or as a team. But on what I put here from S tier to A tier, uh, these are good on soloing bosses as well. These are really, really good classes. So I put Frostweaver here since you get to challenge a lot of mobs, and Frostweaver can debuff very much all of that mobs by freezing, stunning, and dealing a lot of consistent damage from the skill. Since you're a mage, you're expected to, and yes, you're expected to have good magical damage, burst damage, and there's a Frostweaver passive wherein when you hit normal attack, you will increase your attack percentage, which is a very good at the early stages of the game. So yeah, the Frostweaver is very good at cluster of mobs. So when you have cluster of mobs, you can just put Ice Ward, Ice Storm, and Frostbird, and you can clear it very easily. And also for bosses, you can survive pretty well because of the blink that you have. It is much better than Pyromancer's blink since you have the anti CC, the anti CC, the anti crowd control from the advanced blink, so you can escape from the aggros of the boss and also heal much more than the Pyromancer's blink. So that's it for the A tier. Then we're moving on from the B tier. So for B tier, I would put Kensei here on B tier. So B tier, why? Because Kensei for me is a balanced PvE and PvP class. So on PvE, uh, the damage is not too high, but you can survive pretty well because you can take aggros from your team and you can dodge and you can just uh, get yourself out easily from crowd controls from the bosses especially. But this will have no problems when clearing normal monsters. It's good at clearing normal monsters. And yeah, this is fun to play actually for PvE as well as PvP. For me, it is one of the classes that I will recommend suggesting if you just want to play for fun or for, yes, if you want some flashy skills and something like that. Kensei is the class to go. So next is the Berserker for B tier. This class has decent damage as well, just like the Samurai or Kensei, and a good lifesteal, a really, really good lifesteal for survivability. And pretty much a bruiser, like a semi-tank. It's like Berserker, you can be in the front line in terms of clearing bosses, dungeons. Yeah, since you have a lot of HP and defense as well, and when you're getting low, you can just sword strike and get your life back again. And Blade Storm skill is pretty decent as well on clearing normal monsters, and on boss, the damage is kinda mid, but you can survive. You can survive pretty well. Then for the C tier, yeah, I would put Ninja. I would put Ninja here. I would put Ninja here. So take note that at level 75 you will get your accessories. So all fire accessories here since you will be needing to deal more much damage. So for C tier I would put Ninja because it is also an assassin, and assassin deals a lot of build up damage and physical damage. But I would put Ninja on C tier because the class is built for PvE pretty much. Though when you get awakening skills, you can see that Ninja is mainly for PvP, but uh, the developers put some PvE part onto it, especially the Awakened Shadowed Soul, wherein you will have damage to boss once you proc it. So, just like the Asura, it deals consistent damage from your skills and it relies on combo points. But when you see the difference between the skill kit or skill set of Asura and Ninja, Ninja is has a lot more crowd control rather than damage. The damage percentage of Ninja, the active skills, are much more lower than the Asura, and the passive skills are much focused on PvP, wherein it is the passives are dodge and bleed compared to Asura, wherein it is focused on critical percentage and critical damage. So yeah, and also ignore defense from this descending Asura. So Ninja is around C tier at the level of level 1 to 85. Then putting the Paladin, I think I will just remove this row. It is on the D tier. Why? Not Fire Paladin. But Paladin is a tank class. So the base accessory for that is the Ice accessory. So you can be much more tankier. So yeah, the Paladin does only take aggro from the PvE content, but in terms of clearing it faster, it is bad actually, since the character is built for defense and supporting your team in terms of being the tank. Then next, so why I didn't, so why I put priest and pyromancer last on this class. So basically, uh, it is a top tier class for PvE. So I would put priest here on the top of the list. Why? Because priest is the best class for free-to-play players, especially since you will, for sure, you will have whale or top spenders on your server that will be your carry, but for sure they will need a good priest. So uh, when you be a good priest and choose dodge accessory, you will live much longer and you can support your DPS pretty longer and pretty good. So effectively, and priest toolkit or the skill set is very OP because of the invulnerability and the healing skills. It's very consistent. It has low cooldown and yeah, though you don't deal much damage compared to the most of the classes here, except the priest and the paladin. But in terms of supporting your DPS on the PvE content, priest is an S tier. So next, pyromancer. So pyromancer, I would put a level 1 to 85. I will put it on the top of the A tier. Why? On this level, on the part that you will be reaching level 90 soon, uh, Pyromancer and Asura is borderline going to S tier. And uh, the thing that I could explain here is that Asura and Pyromancer will be reaching their power spikes once they hit level 90, because you will unlock soul purse and a lot of systems. So that's when they will hit the power spikes of the class, and especially awakening skills are much more leveled up at that point of the game. So I think Awaken unlocks at level 80, but with no awakening skills, Asura and Pyromancer are pretty much mid, or yeah, they are very good, but they haven't hit their power spikes just yet. So I would be putting them here, but once they hit level 90 and above, they are OP. The tier list will change. So that's it for the PvE class for levels 1 to 85. So for level 1, for level, let's say 86 to 96 on my end, I will modify this very quickly. And to take not much of time, I will just modify it. So for S tier, I would put Pyromancer here and Asura here, and we'll move the Spirit Master on A tier, and I will put Ranger as well on A tier. So that's my modification for level 85 to 96. Why? Still S tier Priest, so what I've explained earlier, that's still my explanation. And Pyromancer and Asura just hit their power spikes on this level since they will have more levels on Awakening. They will unlock more systems like Soul Pearl. Accessory are much more leveled up, and stat wise, you will be getting more a lot of damage boosts in terms of your cards, War Mount, and other systems. So these two classes are the top PvE classes at my level currently. Oh, actually, I would also put Frostweaver on S tier because Mage has a good burst. So Frostweaver has a good passive skills. Most of Frostweaver passives boosts your attack and damage done. So this is very good DPS classes as well, similar to Pyromancer. The difference is Frostweaver is much better PvP class than Pyromancer. But if you're a good Pyromancer, you can just outplay people or yeah, players if you're a good Pyromancer. But you will struggle a little bit when it comes to Pyromancer versus Frostweaver in terms of PvP. So for A tier, Ranger and Summoner, they are on the top of the list as well because what I've explained earlier, and the rest of the classes still the same. And now for the PvP class. Okay, so let's reset this list. So for our PvP class, uh, the top tier would be still Priest. Why? Because Priest is the very overpowered class in the game, whether PvE or PvP. Since you can support, make invulnerability to your teammate, to your uh yeah, to your team, and also consistent healing. So it is an S tier class. The next is Paladin. Why? Because it has a lot of crowd controls that can pull enemies together. And when you pull enemies together, you can just burst, you can just crowd control them. Yeah. And next is, of course, Ninja. It is an S tier since Shadowed Soul deals a lot of crowd control, especially stun. And also Ninja is hard to catch on PvP because of the Void Phantom, and it is super fast. And also on S tier is the Frostweaver. Frostweaver deals a lot of crowd control, freezing your enemies, debuffing your enemies, slowing your enemies. So it is uh, S tier class. And for A tier class, I would put Kensei here. So Kensei is a tank killer. So if there are enemies like Paladin, you can just pierce those Paladins, and also Priest, you can just, similar to Assassin, you can just uh, uh, easily get and reach those squishy enemies, your the priest or the, yeah, the damage dealer of the enemies. You can just pierce them right through since you have a lot of mobility in terms of samurai or kensei. So that's the best asset of it, and you can survive a lot because you're very mobile. Then next is summoner. I would put it on A tier as well. Uh, but I would put it either on A or B tier because depends on how you play summoner. If you if you utilize the skills of summoner pretty well, like the what do you call it? The misty light, the one uh, that dispels your enemies, the awakening of your enemies, and pretty much use your skills pretty well and time it properly. I would put Summoner on A tier because with Arama you can distract the enemies pretty much. You can crowd control it, stun it with Genki Bomb, and dispel your enemies. Awaken. You can deal a good damage as well as supporting your team in PvP. Then next is for B tier, I would put Asura. Why? Because uh, Asura's skill is very much built for PvE, and it has a CC which is the stun, but that's pretty much it. And the stun's duration is pretty low compared to Ninja, which is some sort of seconds. But here, I think a few seconds only on Asura. Then uh, next is the Berserker. So Berserker, I would put it on C. Why? Because Berserker doesn't have much of a CC that you can maintain being on the front line. Because when you're in the front line and uh, one of these S tiers or all of these S tiers burst their skills at you, you will just be bursted away because you can't move, you can't outplay them at the start of the round, at the start of the yeah, at the start of the battle because you don't have much of CC, only lifesteal. So I would put C Berserker in terms of PvP, and yes, Ranger as well on D tier. Why D tier? Because you are very immobile if you're a ranger. You just sit there throwing some fairy arrows, healing, but that's pretty much it. You can heal, but you can just use priest if you want to support. That's much better. You have invulnerability, but on ranger you just have Song of the Forest, which is a build up heal. So it's pretty so-so in terms of PvP. But a dodge ranger, no, why did I put it on the a dodge ranger? I would put it on maybe B tier because I have a squad mate. Shout out to Happy Me, ayan, who is a Dodge Ranger that is surviving a lot in terms of PvP. And you can support longer if you survive a lot. You can support your team if you survive in battle. Uh, if you have a high dodge, you can support your team pretty well because Rangers get uh, Haslows, have debuffs like the poison, but no stun, but it will help. The slow will help pretty much if your ranger survive a lot, and your DPS would have more room in terms of killing the enemies. Yeah. So Twin Star, I would put Twin Star. I will consider Twin Star here. Uh, for Twin Star, in terms of supporting your DPS, I would put it on A tier because when you put Twin Star on either one of your S rank classes, especially DPS, except Paladin, put it on DPS, and your DPS would be much more stronger. Your DPS class would be much more stronger in terms of PvP. You're just a buff in terms of them, and uh, added layer of protection for your DPS as well. Then there is a class that I haven't put it yet, which is my class. My main class is the Pyromancer. So in my experience, Pyromancer would be A tier if you are good. Why? Because Pyromancer only has stun, and if you're using Blink, you have freeze. Yeah, and yes, you will use Blink in terms of PvP. So you have an escape skill, and pretty much your damage is relies on burst. So what you need for Pyromancer to be on A tier is that you need to position yourself pretty well, uh, free hit as much as possible, avoid those assassin and crowd control skills, and you will be an A tier or even an S tier on this part. But this won't reach on the top of the S tier, maybe on the last of S tier. Why? Because Pyromancer has really good burst damage. You can just burst anyone out of the map. So yeah, that's it for the PvP class. So this would apply on levels 80 onwards, start of the awakening. But for levels 1 to 79 or 80, uh, this would be pretty much the same, except pulling the twin star out because you will be just having twin star on level 90. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you for watching.